Hello, everybody out there. Chris here. Hope you're having a great weekend. I can tell you my weekend as a Texas Rangers fan is through the roof right now. So I'm beyond excited for Jacob deGrom to come pitch in Arlington, Texas. Hopefully he pitches, but we'll see when we get there. I wanted to make a video response to Jake, Legends Never Die. Congratulations on your 755 subscribers. I know what that number means to you as a Braves guy, as a Hall of Fame, as an Aaron guy, so congratulations. Jake asked us to do a video about kind of showing off our collection, what we collect, what makes our collection our collection. And so I collect a lot, obviously mostly all sports related, autograph related, but there's a lot of sets and things I've done. So I've tried to do it in one swoop and knock it all out. It was a little bit longer than I hoped. So, Mom, thanks for being the only one who watches it all. But I hope you enjoy. Jake, congratulations. And let's go Rangers. Right. So Jake mentioned that he wanted us to tell you what makes our collection our collection. And for me to do that, I think it's important that I start with telling you a little bit about myself and that I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. And if you don't know where that is, it's right next to Arlington, Texas, which is the home of the Texas Rangers. And as a kid, I grew up with a certain pitcher named Nolan Ryan. And he would take the mound, we would go out, and you could go out to the ballpark for $5, get yourself some nachos, a drink, sit on the scorching hot metal bleachers in the outfield, taking a Rangers game. They were never really that great as a kid, but Nolan Ryan was great. And so my earliest baseball memories revolve around Nolan Ryan. My wife grew up in Kentucky. And outside of the Reds, there's not a team that's too close to where she grew up. And so she grew up watching WGN and became a big Ryne Sandberg fan, of all things. And eventually, as we met in college, got married, we became Rangers fans together. And what that really entailed, and that was, more recent, obviously, is Cole Hamels had been traded to the Rangers. I thought he was the best thing since sliced bread, pitching for my Rangers, who always had trouble finding pitching. And she thought he was dreamy. So why am I showing you these three cards? Well, it's because I have a 12-year-old named Nolan, a 10-year-old named Ryan, and a 6-year-old named Cole. And yes, my wife is awesome. And yes, all three of them are named after baseball players. So a lot of my collection starts and ends with these three guys because obviously they've had a big impact on how and what I've named my kids and how I've followed sports and enjoy the hobby. But what I really like to do, besides collect these three guys, is to collect autographs. And in particular, I like the Hall of Fame autographs. Now, obviously Nolan Ryan, Ryne Sandberg are in the Hall of Fame. When we had Cole Hamels was on the fast track for the Hall of Fame. Don't think it's going to happen now, but nevertheless, that is a little bit of background that you need to know about me. So I enjoy participating in the hobby with my children, and I collect Hall of Fame autographs. And I love Topps. I will collect beyond Topps, but I love Topps, and I collect everything from 1952 Topps to 2022 Topps, and everything in between. And you will see a lot of what I have is obviously Hall of Famers and is autographed. And I get that a lot of ways. One of the ways that obviously I'm able to get those is through the mail. You can get some great Hall of Fame autographs through the mail. A lot of guys will do it. If you watch my channel, you know who those guys are. But I also get a lot of guys through private signings. And, some pretty big stuff going on here. So we've got, Ken Griffey Jr., and these are all private signings when I have them done since I'm not there, and they cost some money. I have those witnessed. So, a fellow named Cal Ripken Jr. And so, as you'll see, uh, all these, are, now that I have your attention, all these are obviously Hall of Famers, and you can get them all kinds of different ways. Now, besides Hall of Famers, I also liked to collect guys who I think have a good shot in the Hall of Fame. And sometimes, you just have to kind of take stabs, right? So, in particular, here's, Bryce Harper. I would say he's got a great shot to make the Hall of Fame. He's got some more work to do, and he's got to stay injury-free, but nevertheless. Now, here's a guy who's definitely going to make the Hall of Fame, Albert Pujols. And as you see, obviously, even though Albert Pujols has done some tremendous damage to my Rangers over the years, particularly the 2011 World Series and his time with the Angels, I'm still going to collect his cards, and I still want his autograph. The other guys that I tend to collect are obviously, for instance, Cowboy Joe West. That was a private signing. I think he's going to be a member of the Hall of Fame someday soon. And I also look out for guys like Rafael Palmeiro. Now, Palmeiro was the Texas Rangers first baseman during my childhood, but I still think 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, if guys like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and some of the other guys who are already in the Hall of Fame are there, I think Palmeiro's obviously got a shot. And my collection doesn't end there, because it picks back up with obviously guys like Sweet Lou Whitaker. Definitely has a chance at the Hall of Fame. I've got someone like Andruw Jones, who is still on the ballot, and you just never know. I collect guys like Lou Piniella, who was a good player in his own right, but also is really well known as a manager. And then, of course, I don't mind, obviously with Palmeiro, I don't mind controversial subjects. For instance, Pete Rose, the hit king. So those are all types of things that I try to collect and keep in my collection. And you'll notice, obviously, that these are all on cards. And cards are important to me in my collection. Now, I like, as a completionist, because I think a lot of us collectors are, I like going and getting everybody's card signed, if possible. So here you see a Bruce Sutter, 1989 Topps. All right, that's his last Topps card. Here you see a 1977 Topps, which is obviously Bruce Sutter's rookie card. So what I like to have is the autograph of the first card and the last card. Now, I like to have the autograph of every card, or in particular Topps cards, in between. Sometimes that's feasible. Sometimes if you work hard and you're incredibly patient, that can happen. These Bruce Sutters, rest in peace Bruce, obviously were acquired through a private signing. And because each card costs a certain amount of money, it's hard and it takes a while to complete a set. Now I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say a complete run. I'm going to go with somebody, a Ranger Hall of Famer, not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but a Texas Ranger. This is what a complete set or a complete run or Topps run is. That's what I'm talking about. So you see Charlie Huff, who is a gracious signer through the mail. Now, it took me a long time to get these, but we start with 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 91 traded, 92, 93, and 1994. Now I picked Charlie Huff because as a knuckleballer, he had a great long run from 1973 to 1994. And over that run, of course, he was traded several times. And so as a completionist, I want every single Topps card, all right? And that can be difficult, but it's definitely doable. So I mentioned as I start with the rookie cards, and I've shown the rookie cards that I tend to start with. And typically, I want the last card of that particular player in their Topps card, particularly in their Topps card. So you see, for instance, a Carlton Fisk. That's Carlton Fisk's last Topps card. And you see Don Sutton. Now, what may or may not be controversial about what I do and how I do it is obviously Carlton Fisk is the type of guy that you can get through the mail. He charges $50 a signature. He has a long Topps run. You don't want to just send him 20 cards and obviously the amount of money it would take to complete that Topps run. So you've got to send 1, 2, and that's kind of my max is 2 at a time. Now another way and another means of acquiring a card, in particular someone like Don Sutton, rest in peace Mr. Sutton, is you kind of have to familiarize yourself with the signature and you have to find reputable sellers. That can be online, that can be Facebook, that can be completion groups or signing groups. But obviously Don Sutton, unfortunately, is not able to sign cards anymore because he passed away. So there's multiple different ways, like I said, to collect these complete sets. Now, some other guys who do private signings, just to give you an idea, 1994 Topps, that's Robin Yount's final card. Vladimir Guerrero, that is his final card. Got Lee Smith, which is his final card. And then we've got someone as far back as Harmon Killebrew, which is his final card. So if I'm gonna buy usually an autograph, and it's a guy who's maybe a little more expensive, I'm gonna typically try to find one that has at least been authenticated in some measure. The truth is even really besides the private signings where those cards are witnessed, unless you know someone or unless you're there and present, it's hard to know if these guys actually sign it. Now, all that said, I truly believe that most of these are going to be of the nature where they were signed as they were supposed to be. Now, as a completionist and as I go through what I do, I also have some favorite sets. Okay, so once I get the rookie card and I get the last card in the set, there's some particular cards that if that player has that card, I want it. All right, it's my favorite year of Topps. My favorite design of Topps is 1964. Just love it. I love the team name up top. I love the a lot of the 1964 Topps are kind of close up. They fill the card, and so that's just I love it. And so if a player has a 1964 Topps, if I'm able to get the rookie in their last card, the next card I'm going for is a 1964 Topps. All right, and this is how you see as obviously as you begin to build, you kind of pick your favorites, and everybody has their favorites. All right, because baseball cards are a lot like art. When you see art, a lot of times you're going to react differently than somebody else who might see it. So you've heard, one man's treasure or trash is another man's treasure, and that rings true, I think, sometimes with these top sets. So, for instance, another set that I love is the 1970 set. Very simple. I think as I look through these, I see the team name on top. That is obviously something that attracts me, I guess, to baseball cards, or maybe that's an art I just some sort of subconsciously prefer. But obviously I love 1970 cards. And then 1986 is really primarily my second favorite set of Topps cards. So if a Hall of Famer or a star player that I really want to collect, like a Charlie Huff, has a 1986 card, that is going to be a card that I'm going to prioritize. So here are some examples of autographed 1986 cards that are in my collection. And obviously working on runs of not only those players, but obviously those years. And so just to kind of show you a little bit more of what I work hard to collect on, 1998 Topps. Now, these are a little different. I don't love the design as much as I love the concept, and in particular, the concept of the minted in Cooperstown. Because that year, Topps made a handful of cards in Cooperstown at the Hall of Fame. And I thought, how cool is it to have a Hall of Fame player on a minted in Cooperstown Hall of Fame card, particularly Topps. And so you see here Robbie Alomar, for instance. And so these were randomly inserted in packs. I want to say they were in like 1 in 9 packs, 1 in 18 packs, something along those lines. But a lot of these guys obviously will sign. Now, again, you've got somebody like Robbie Alomar and Pedro Martinez. Obviously, they charge, a substantial amount more money, and you have to get those done through private signings than someone like a Wade Boggs or a Dennis Eckersley, who are really gracious. They have foundations and donate monies through the mail signings to various charities. So besides 1998, I love 2005. Now you'll notice that Nolan Ryan's actually a 2021, but it is the style that is what matters to me. So it's the style of 2005 Topps. So there's a Ryan, Mike Musina, Tony La Russa, who's a great Hall of Famer, and a Jeff Bagwell, just to kind of show off the 2005 year. Again, these don't have the team names up top, but I guess I'm just drawn to cards that have names on top. So I work on 2005 cards. So if a Hall of Famer has a 2005 card, I'm going to be and prioritize that as far as trying to get the card completed. Now, 2011, obviously, is Mike Trout's year. And what you're going to see is obviously as we get closer to 2022, it's a lot harder to find Hall of Famers who have 2011 cards. And so what you'll notice in these are actually what Topps would call short prints or variation cards, which are the Hall of Famers themselves and have that design, and were actually manufactured in 2011. But are the players that obviously retired, obviously Brooks Robinson in the 70s and Molitor in the 90s, Marichal in the 60s, Dawson again in the 90s. Those guys obviously aren't playing anymore, so still awesome cards and still able to get those signatures on them in the 2011 design. So even though they're not in their player era run, so the years that they actually played baseball, I still like the art behind them. Now, there's some other types of cards that I like to collect, some other sets. For me, I love 1990 Leaf. All right, so we've got Molitor, we've got Dawson, we've got Boggs, who are all great signers through the mail. So 1990 Leaf, for me, was an iconic set. Obviously, Frank Thomas, which I do have the Frank Thomas signed, but obviously I'm not going to show all the parts of the sets that I have signed. Don't have enough time for that, but that is just, to me, an iconic year, that Leaf. Another year that I love is 1984 Donruss. So again, we've got Dennis Eckersley, we've got Jim Rice, we've got Jim Palmer, we've got Rhino. Those cards, to me, are just awesome. They're the best Donruss card that was ever produced. And kind of makes you wonder, with 1985, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, Donruss almost got worse by the year. But nevertheless, beautiful cards, and kind of see my theme here, obviously. All Hall of Famers that I'm collecting. Now, the other set that I really enjoy is 1989 Upper Deck. As a kid, obviously, I thought 89 Upper Deck, that was expensive. Well, it was like $1.50 a pack or something. You had to save. You couldn't eat lunch for like a week if you wanted a pack of 1989 Upper Deck. I've got Craig Biggio back here. But again, these cards, these are Hall of Famers. You know, as an adult, I look at them and I just can't help but find that to be just such a sweet design. The photography leaves a lot to be desired in a lot of these cards. You know, in 1989, it was awesome. You know, nowadays when you see top Stadium Club cards and stuff like that, it kind of makes you know what you're missing out on. But nevertheless, that is a set, 89 Upper Deck, that I work on. Now, with some other cards and some things I specialize in besides obviously a player's first run or entire run is I kind of talked about I like their first card and I like the last card. But if they have, or if they were, a Gold Cup rookie, all right, I want that card. That is another card that is, for me, is a high priority. And I do that with both guys that are in the Hall of Fame, guys that I know are going to make the Hall of Fame, and then even guys that I hope are going to make the Hall of Fame. And that's another one right here, and that is obviously Ronald Acuna Jr. And so, obviously, most of the new guys, their signature doesn't have to carry the same quality as some of the older guys, but nevertheless, it's a lot cheaper to get them now, early on in their career, than it is to get them later on in their career. So, at least for the most part, as I've realized, the other types of cards I like are obviously the real rookie card, okay? And what I mean by the real rookie card is you know, what's recognized maybe on the PSA pre-rookie registry. Maybe the very first card that came out for that particular player. You know, for a lot of these guys, it's going to be a Bowman card. All right, so you see, you know, Trevor Hoffman's Bowman, 92 Bowman. You see Jim Thome's 91 Bowman. The hideous Mariano Rivera's, you know, 92 Bowman. Some of these guys, like Edgar Martinez, had this 1988 Fleer, and I was gonna say it was that was a base card. You know, he didn't get a Topps card until 1990. And then you have some random cards like Mike Piazza, who this is a 1992 Fleer update. He didn't get a Topps card until 1993. So these are kind of considered, these guys, you know, true rookies. And of course, these are all autographed. And as with most of them, you know, I work to get them authenticated. And eventually, you know, I'm going to send them to PSA and slab them. Obviously, you see some of my collection is slabbed already. But, you know, as anybody who collects, money doesn't just grow on trees. So part of what I also like to collect is, and I kind of mentioned, guys that I hope make the Hall of Fame. They're just so much, I don't want to say cheaper, but more inexpensive, I think, now. And as you kind of see guys like Juan Soto, he is, you know, he had a little more rough year this year, but he had a great start. And I don't want to say he wasn't well known, but, you know, he just started out great. And I was able to get a signature from him over a year ago, well over a year ago. Still haven't sent it to PSA. I need to do that. But there's a guy, Wander Franco. That was a private signing earlier this year. And unfortunately, he hasn't panned out as great as I thought he might pan out. But, you know, you just never know. So hopefully he'll rebound. What I like about that card, and you might not even seen that card before, is not only is it a Gold Cup rookie card of Franco, but which depicts his first home run, which is just a great moment in his career. It's also a parallel card. It's a I'm going to say it's like a Walmart navy or blue. I thought it looked really good with the Rays uniform. I pulled it from a pack and sent it. That's Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Here's Bobby Witt. You know, a lot of these guys, even before they make the major leagues, you have an idea of, you know, what kind of player they're going to be. You know, maybe based on a draft pick, and they're not making, a lot of these guys get bonuses, but they're not going to make exactly the same amount of money that others are making. And so they're a lot more inclined to do signings. They'll probably do a lot more signings, you know, more gross than high dollar signings. And once you get to a point like Pujols, now sometimes that backfires. And I don't want to say like Jared Klinick's not going to have a great career. I don't want to say Joe Adell is not going to have a great career. I hope they both have great careers because obviously I have their autographs. I hope they make the Hall of Fame. And they both play for rivals of my Texas Rangers. That said, you know, you're going to miss some if you take chances. And so hopefully these guys will pan out because, you know, I added their autographs. But you just never know. Now, we kind of talk about, you know, what we specialize in, and I do have a favorite player. I love Adrian Beltre. He played third base for my Rangers. He was such a joy to watch that I thoroughly enjoy collecting him, and I'm working on his Topps run, and I'm getting there. It's harder to get. He hasn't done a private signing since really COVID started. But what I also enjoy is with my kids. All right, so Nolan collects Javi Baez, and he's got his Javi Baez is signed upstairs, and I'm not going to wake him up. I should say I'm doing this late at night. As a Rangers fan, I'm so stoked about Jacob deGrom that I can't go to sleep, and so that's part of why. But so obviously, you know, that Seager is a Topps Chrome. It's a Topps certified Seager, but the rest of these, they're rookies and various Topps cards. These are all 10s. I enjoy collecting those because I'm a Rangers fan and I like Corey Seager, but Ryan, my 10-year-old, is my big Rangers fan, and because he's a middle child, so of course he's going to be drawn to the same stuff as Dad's attention. You know how that goes. But I also like to collect, kind of obviously right in my niche, is Hall of Famers, and not only Hall of Famers, but guys who play for the teams that I grew up loving. So obviously you know about Nolan Ryan, named son after him, Hall of Famer, played for the Rangers. You see a guy like Vladdy Guerrero, love him. He only played for the Rangers a short amount of time. He was obviously on a World Series team and made the Hall of Fame. He went in as an Angel, but to me, you know, I think of him as a Ranger. I got like Fergie Jenkins, you know, first Canadian in the Hall of Fame, but won a Cy Young, great pitcher. He didn't win it as a Ranger. Hopefully Jacob deGrom is going to be that first Cy Young Award winner. I would be remiss if we did not give a shout out to Gaylord Perry, who passed away the day before, and obviously was a great junk ball pitcher, and he kind of owned it, and so I think that kind of adds to his lore. So, but fortunate to have the Gaylord Perry Topps run that I'll be showing someday. But you'll notice these guys, I like them all in their Rangers uniform. It's not just Rangers. Unfortunately, I love the Dallas Cowboys, love the Dallas Mavericks. That's just where I grew up. So legends like Dirk, and you know, Dirk autograph on a Topps card, I am not going to pass that up. I haven't broken down and bought any Luka autographs. That's something I do want to add to my collection. There was a little bit of question about some authenticity of some early ones, so I've been a little apprehensive to do that. But those are the type cards that I like to collect. Now, I also collect some oddball things and cards, and to kind of give you an idea, you know, for one, I like Topps, and Topps did Project 2020, Project 70. I've found a artist I really liked what he did, and so I kind of worked on adding. This is Blake Jameson, I worked on adding his cards to my collection. Um, I'm a big history buff. I love documentaries, love president stuff. And so these are the 1952 look and sees that Topps put out. This is my favorite president, Theodore Roosevelt. And great condition. I need to send a lot of these in. I've got a lot of them, but love collecting that type stuff. I've got, Star Wars. People are like, Star Wars. Well, I'm a kid of the 80s, and so I also love Wonder Bread stuff. Okay, so this is Wonder Bread Star Wars. It's a long story. My grandfather worked for Wonder Bread for a long time, and so I love oddball stuff like that. I've got stuff like this in my collection. Obviously, this is Corbin Bernsen, who played Roger Dorn, and this is obviously from a movie, a character, Roger Dorn. If you've never seen Major League, you're probably like, what the heck? But if you have, I love this type stuff. I mean, it's oddball stuff, but it's stuff that I like to collect. You see someone like Dick Vitale. I live in Kentucky, diehard Kentucky basketball fan now, and so this is just a great card. I obviously sent this to him with a letter after he had beat cancer, and so that was something that we loved. I love stuff like this. Dottie Kamenchuk, who is kind of a part of the Baseball Hall of Fame, but obviously the movie that they did about her, and A League of Their Own, and I say did about her, I mean she wasn't named particularly in the movie, but that's who it was. We've got Daisy Duke, Catherine Bach, who I loved the Dukes of Hazzard growing up, so anytime I see some sort of private signing, something like that, I'll go after it. And of course, somebody like Bill Lee, who signed this in 2021. It's Bill Lee, Earth 2021. Bill Spaceman Lee, who recently had a heart attack on the field of a Savannah Bananas game. So I love stuff like that. He wrote a great book, by the way, if you like to read. I love Rangers stuff. Okay, this is Flashbacks 1972. Again, you're going to notice all this stuff is autographed. Frank Howard hit the first home run in Texas Rangers history. So something like that is something that I just love. And then, you've got, of course, Wendy Peppercorn. And I have a lot of the Sandlot characters, almost all of them. But she's, just an iconic actress in a iconic baseball movie. And of course, I love the stuff like Moynihan. I had to go all the way to Dallas to get this, but obviously YouTuber and a guy along with Jake that I like to talk with and collect things because we have very similar interests, and so shout out to Mike. But those are some things that I obviously collect that are still autographs and have Hall of Fame type ramifications maybe, or legendary status, but they're not necessarily Hall of Fame baseball players. Now, some other things that I really like to collect are obviously, and I'm gonna have to get some bigger, I think. I love the Perez Steel collections, and that's one of the things that drew me to several guys' channels that I watched, because these are just, the Dick Perez, the guy who did Diamond Kings, and it was something to hit one of those in a pack growing up. And so I have quite a collection of those, and it's taken a while to get all the ones that I've wanted, and there's still a lot more that I want. But probably my best autographs as far as Hall of Famers, Sandy Koufax, that's Bob Gibson. We've got Ted Williams, who is obviously most famous for being the first manager of the Texas Rangers. And he also hit 400, but that managerial thing is important. Stan the Man Musial. This is an important autograph to me because it's the guy that, my grandfather got to grow up watching in Missouri. And so, same grandfather who did the Wonder Bread or worked for Wonder Bread, as a matter of fact. And a guy like Joe DiMaggio. So, I love to collect the Prez Steel Hall of Fame sets. And even though those aren't produced, I really appreciate, shout out to Jake, and those who are able to make the newer guys, or at least bring something as close. And they're still Dick Perez, but being able to produce it for us to use, big shout out to those guys. Now, besides cards, there are some things that I like to collect. One is tickets. I love tickets. Now, it's kind of a dying breed, right? Because if you've been to a game lately, you just can't get a ticket. This is my most precious ticket in my collection. You can see what I love about this ticket is it was used. It's got a great backstory. I'm going to tell it on my channel about who it belonged to, which is the coolest thing in the world. But I got the back history from the owner when I bought the ticket. But this is a 1969 World Series Game 3 ticket. Might not mean much to you, but this is a game where Nolan Ryan came in and shut down the Mets, or shut down the Orioles, and had a save in the World Series. It was his only World Series appearance of his career. Was part of that amazing Mets or Miracle Mets team. And just a cool ticket. It was in the ballpark that day, which is what means a lot to me. So that's a big thing that I like to collect as far as tickets go. Now that was a big Nolan Ryan ticket. I love tickets that involve, obviously, Ryne Sandberg, Nolan Ryan, Cole Hamels. So I do collect those tickets. This is a ticket that to most people is like May 24th, 1985. What's the big deal? If you dig a little deeper, you'll see that Nolan Ryan started for the Astros that day. They beat the Cubs 6-2. Doesn't seem like a big ticket to most people. It's a ticket that was at the ballpark. What I love about it is not only did Nolan Ryan get the win, which was career win 235, Ryne Sandberg hit a home run off of Nolan Ryan. So this was a day that both Sandberg and Nolan Ryan had great days. It's a great ticket for my collection. And then, another ticket that I have. This is from 2015. Love this ticket. It's Cole Hamels' no-hitter. The complete game no-hitter. He was involved in another one that had multiple other hurlers. But what I love about this is a game before he was traded to the Texas Rangers. So this is a ticket that obviously, it hadn't been torn. So I can't say that this ticket was at the game. Obviously, it's a ticket that would have gotten you into the game. It's actually a Gem Mint ticket, which is pretty cool. For me, I don't care necessarily about ticket grades, but nevertheless, for me, in my collection, is a cool ticket. Now, I do keep tickets because, like I said, you can't get them anymore. The tickets that are important to me here, and these are just more personal nature, but 2011, it's not a big deal. It's Angels 3, Rangers 2. If you look at that date and you think, man, Mike Trout must have made his debut. No, it's not that cool. This is shortly before Trout debuted as an Angel. But this is when my son Nolan went to his first baseball game. So this is a ticket to Nolan's first baseball game, and which I just thought was cool. Obviously, it was at the ballpark in Arlington. Loved the art on it. It's a lot like a ticket, or it's a lot like a piece of art. Same thing here. This game was actually kind of interesting in that it was a Fenway Park game. We took Ryan to Boston. This was Ryan's first Major League Baseball game, was at Fenway Park, and he was young. What's kind of neat about it is actually Jackie Bradley Jr. hit his first Major League home run. David Murphy pitched for the Rangers, who was a position player. You can see both my boys, their first game that they got to go to was a slight disaster. Red Sox beat the Rangers 17-5. But nevertheless, it was Ross' first game at a Major League stadium, and was pretty cool. And then, to boot, I've got the ticket for Cole's first game at a Major League Stadium, 2016 a Rangers-Reds game where the Reds beat the Rangers 3-0. So all of my children have been bad luck in their first games. But I can tell you that I'm pretty sure all the other games I've gone to have done much better. Now, a few other things I collect. I love Pop Fly Pop Shops. All right, I don't buy all of them. These are by an artist, Daniel Jacob Horine, who puts them out. They're numbered, and a lot of times he's able to get them signed. So this is actually signed by Paul Molitor. And what I do is if I see one that is a guy that I liked growing up, for instance, this is the Ageless Wonder, Julio Franco, or in this case, Stan the Man. My grandfather obviously was a big fan. I pick them up. So I need to frame them, but they're art. They're a part of my collection. Another thing we do for the month of December on my channel is we love starting lineup figures. I did as a kid, and I had a lot, and can't really display these. I mean, you can, but I got a dog who'd probably like to eat them, and kids who play with them. So what I did is I do display them. My kids have a Christmas tree, and we turned them into Christmas ornaments. And kind of what I do with my kids this time of year, you can see there's a little hanger that goes through them. If you watch our channel, you'll see that you'll know that we do Advent calendar boxes. So we put a player or a starting lineup ornament in a box. We do a corresponding autograph, and that's just kind of a cool thing that we do. And so hopefully you'll check those out if you're new to this channel. They're quick, but they're just something fun. And then we do some other things. I like prints with autographs, right? So I'll have to, I guess, do some lifting on these, but we've got Chevy Chase. We did a private signing with Chevy Chase. And another cool one here, Ed Asner, who unfortunately passed away very shortly after. He was among other things, he was Santa Claus and the Elf. So he's to McCurry boys, I'm watching you behave. Kind of a cool thing. And then of course, you've got, I'm just showing these because of Christmas Eve. We do this for movies we like, and we do it for, you got Flick, and you got Ralphie from A Christmas Story. So it's a movie that's dear to us because you can go see the Christmas Story house actually in Cleveland. So, but that's kind of a lot about my collection. So I appreciate if you've made it this far. I appreciate you, Mom. Love you. But if you've made it this far, that's just a little bit about my collection, why we collect what we collect. I'm going to finish off with just some other stuff that I like. Obviously, as a Rangers fan, winning the World Series. Just the TV guys, the radio guys who are in the Hall of Fame. Those are Eric Nadels. Just some cool stuff that we have in our collection. So hopefully you've made it this long. And if not, no worries. But thanks for listening. That is what makes my collection my collection. So congratulations to Jake on his 755 subs. And we will catch you next time.